A USB memory stick must be present in the display to record field boundaries. The Record Boundary window will not be available in the run screen layout when a memory stick is not installed. One field can contain multiple boundaries, and boundaries can be defined as either an inner boundary or an outer boundary. Outer boundaries will be used to calculate the total field area as well as area remaining. Inner boundaries can be defined as impassable or non-impassable. Both the impassable and passable inner boundaries will be used and deducted from the total field area to provide an accurate measurement of arable area. To record a boundary, you must place a boundary record user-defined window within a run screen. Other boundary-related user-defined windows that can be placed on run screens are total boundary area, area total field, time remaining, and area remaining. Boundary area reports the area for the current boundary that the vehicle is within, less any inner boundary areas that are created. Total boundary area will report the total area of all boundaries within that field, less any interior boundaries that are created. Area total field will report the total worked area for the current operation instance being performed within that field. Area remaining will display the difference between the area reported in total boundary less the area worked and area within inner boundaries. Time remaining uses the current work rate to calculate the time it will take to complete the work remaining in the current field. With the Record Boundary option on a run screen, use the Record button to begin recording. If this is the first boundary to be recorded for this field, the system will default to the outer boundary setting. Here you can define the boundary name with the text input box. You need to also define whether you are recording the boundary from the outermost left or right position of the implement or the center line. This is using the current selected implement width. You also have the ability to change the boundary type from outer to inner. Once an outer boundary has been recorded, this will become the default display when the boundary record button is pressed. When inner boundary is selected, you also have the ability to define a subcategory, which defines the type of boundary this can be. You also have the option to define whether the boundary is impassable or impassable. Set to yes will cause the system to alarm when approaching the boundary. Once you have defined how you intend to record your boundary, press the Start button to begin. Your boundary record user-defined window will now change to indicate it is recording. The image displayed in the window as well as the notifications area will indicate whether you are recording from the left, right, or center of the implement. Drive the perimeter of your boundary, and as you pass the beginning, the system will automatically close the boundary. The Auto Close feature can be disabled if needed in the Precision Farming tab under Toolbox. You can also close the boundary by pressing the Stop button. Pressing the Stop button will automatically snap a straight line between the current vehicle's location and the start point where recording began. The Pause button can be used at any time during recording to ensure that straight lines are created. When the Pause button is pressed, recording is ceased until that is unpaused. Between these 2 points, a straight line is snapped. When recording a boundary, an operator should not cross a recorded path of the vehicle. 2 or more polygons or areas cannot be created in the one boundary. Areas such as this will need to be recorded as 2 separate field boundaries. The 2 boundaries are still associated with the one field, and the accumulative area will be displayed in the total field area. There is also the ability to create field boundaries based off existing guidance patterns. If there is an existing guidance pattern that follows the perimeter of the field, such as a pivot, a field pattern, or a spiral pattern, you can choose to create a boundary based off of this. To do this, you will need the Manage Swath option and choose Create Boundary. The boundary will be created to the outermost edge of the current implement width.